Sebastian for the Metal Gods Meltdown. Today I am joined by
Tracii Guns. Da, 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 da.
It's great to be chatting to you today. You've just returned from the Monsters of Rock cruise. It sounds amazing. Was there a special highlight for you?
I think the biggest shocker was Chris Holmes, because he's been on a path, a journey for the last 15, 20 years. And my God, he was great. He was so good, and his band is so good that was a real eye opener. It was just so good to see that. And then, of course, Nuno and Red Beach and Frank Hannon and George Lynch and, the whole list of all the great guitar players. I had so much fun.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, I saw a photo of Chris Holmes. He looked really healthy, looked really good, man. So it was good to see. He's been through it, hasn't he? Definitely.
Yeah.
Let's go to Leopard Skin then. How pleased are you with this, your latest LA Guns work? And I mean, you're getting albums out a lot, haven't you, the last few years? Black Diamonds was stellar, and now you've got this one. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always pleased with the records, but I'm the only one I try to impress. I just hope that other people like them. Yeah, I really like this record because it's another little bit of a shift in direction with, a little bit more groovy approach and a little bit cleaner production and, a little bit stylistically different type of rock and roll. It's more like Hollywood Vampires than any of the other records. That's the only way I can really, if you haven't heard it yet, that's the only way I can really describe it to somebody that wants a description.
I was going to say to you, like, Lucky Motherfucker is my favorite track. You've already released that as a single. So Lucky Motherfucker and Taste It have got amazing feedback and views. That must be so rewarding for you. And I do have a favorite track, and it's not those two, and I can't think what it's called.
Yeah, those aren't my favorite tracks either. But yeah, I mean, when we put this stuff out, LA Guns is tricky because we're a young person's band. When we came out, I was like 21, and we were doing the whole, sleazy rock thing. And we have to kind of live up to that in a way. But also, there's nothing more unattractive than men that are past middle age, thinking about sex. So, there's a fine balance, but we do it. You know what I mean?
Manage.
We have to,
it works.
We have to be LA Guns. So there's a lot of, kind of balancing act. How filthy can we be? Well, we could go all the way. Okay, fine. And we just do it, and we have a lot of fun doing it. And it's very satisfying when these things come out and people embrace them year after year, album after album. It's very rewarding from that point.
It's amazing, man. I mean, I remember you guys from, I was like 14, I think 1983, 1984, you know what I mean? And that's why I was like getting into this. I started getting into the thrash a little bit because that was like 84, 85, wasn't it? But then you guys, and of course, Guns N' Roses. And it was just a fantastic time to be alive. It was a fantastic time for music. We had MTV, we had everything. It was fucking amazing.
Yeah, I feel like, rock and roll at that time was really, really, really healthy, and it seems like there was a lot more freedom of expression, that came along with that music scene that was acceptable, and then, you could have a bad boy image. You could kind of do bad boy things, and you could get on the evening news and things like that. But it was really all in good fun.
Yeah.
But then the drugs really weeded out a lot of people that were struggling with addiction and things like that. And then it led into what I call the hangover period, which was the people call it the grunge scene. But you have a really happy party kind of atmosphere, and then it went into this thing like, oh my God, I don't feel good music, you know what I mean? So that's the law of nature, right? You can't really have one without the other. And I love it all. I love it all.
Same, mate. I mean, Nirvana and that, I mean, when it came out, it was like, because I loved the sleaze time, I mean, I loved all of that.
Yeah.
I love the proper rock stars like yourselves, like Sebastian Bach, everything like that.
Yeah.
And then that came along, and it's all right. Allison changed, whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm always stoked to see you guys, Faster Pussycat, Timey's still touring. You guys are still out and you're still doing it and delivering the goods.
Yeah, well, I mean, what else are we going to do?
Yeah, it's true. This is true, man. This is true. Well, that was going to be one of my questions, actually. What do you think would have happened to you if you hadn't made a success in the music industry? What do you think your job would have been?
I would have owned my father's plumbing shop.
Right. Okay.
I come from, I would have been the fourth generation of plumbers.
Right.
That was always the family business.
Yeah.
And my grandfather started Hollywood Plumbing. So it was a very successful shop.
Right.
And I was a very good plumber.
Right.
And then until the one day I quit, I just walked in my dad's shop and I said, and he goes, well, what are you doing here? And I quit. He goes, well, what are you going to do? And I said, I'm going to play guitar. And he said, oh, okay.
Fair enough.
that was that.
Of all amazing successful career you've had from it, though, and going back a little bit to the album, even down to the artwork, that's very 80s and retro. Yeah. Did it scare you a bit with so many wokerati and everyone gets so offended these days? Did it worry you with the cover and with Lucky Motherfucker? Did that worry you? You know what I mean?
I think they're very intentional. They're very, those are LA Guns elements, and I feel that I can't compromise what LA Guns is, and what the appeal is. There's a really short story. When we put out Cocked and Loaded, we had got a message from management that Mademoiselle magazine had given us sexiest album cover of the year. And we were like, yeah. And then we saw the print and it was most sexist album cover of the year. And ever since, that was the first time it ever dawned on me that what? Why do you feel that way? It's a woman in control of a big gun. And that's always kind of been our stance on, sexism and feminism, is that, we respect women so much that we hand over the power because we trust, you know what I mean? So anytime somebody gets miffed because we're glorifying, a beautiful woman, or, swearing at the top of our lungs, it's like, we're a fucking rock and roll band. What do you expect?
Exactly, man. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it's as simple as that.
On the YouTube feed, your YouTube video, someone's commented that your music got them through the 80s and he's disabled now, and that he didn't even realize you guys were still producing music.
Yeah.
That must be what the fuck, because I know you've been going and going and going.
Yeah.
For some people you've been like a lifeline, and then they're still oh my God, LA Guns are still doing this. This is amazing.
Yeah.
So,
it shows us the changes that people go through in life on the other side. Because when Ballad of Jane came out, that touched people in a way where we got a lot of letters and messages about, this helped me through this, or, what a terrible, tragic kind of song, or, whatever it is. And that was the first time I ever felt one of our songs touching people in a different way. And then we had the Iraq War, and the first pilot through over in Kuwait sent me a letter and said, hey, I was blasting, what was it, Slap in the Face or something through the jet speakers going into war, and then I got scared.
Yeah.
Then I got scared. I was like, wow, people are doing things with our music, that are attached to their youth, really, because I even knew when I was really young that the music that you listen to and is the background of your life from 11 years old to 26, 27, that's what stays with you,
Of course, yeah.
And so I was still in that age bracket when all these things were happening.
Yeah.
I could visualize it. But then, those people have children, and people become adults and they're doing other things. But when you're around so long, like the band's been around so long, people come back,
cool.
And it's wild. It's wild. And that's why since 2017, we've had this steady growth and success, because, all these older people with kids, they're coming back, they're going to the shows, they're buying the records. And I think the adults are kind of just attaching to their youth. And then, these younger people, teenagers and people in their young 20s, they dress up when they come to the shows, like they want to live
the 80s.
Yeah. So for us, it's just like a continuation of a great rock and roll time, and that's all we ever wanted. We didn't want anything else. We just want to play rock and roll. We want to have a good time. We want to high five people in the front of the audience. And I want to write really good music. That's the bottom line. And I've been able to do that for years now. And it's very satisfying to just being able to do it. It really is.
It must be just, exactly. That's why I was thinking what you so satisfying, because the amount of views and the amount of love you guys have from people around the world. I mean, I read a funny comment, right? This guy says, he said something like, I'm 92 or something. I'm thinking, you're 92, dude, and you're loving LA Guns. But no, it was into from 92. That's just the way I read it. I was like, what the fuck? Because sometimes, like, I'm in my 50s. I've been in the metal since I was 12. And sometimes some people don't understand it. It's a passion, isn't it? It's our heart. It's like what keeps us going, Totally.
Well, I mean, I think everybody at that time felt like they were part of something.
Yeah, man.
So it was a little bit more than just the songs. It's kind of the strange thing of music in the past 15 years is it comes and goes so fast, and the big names change and disappear and come in, and then there's some iconic people that are hiding in their mansions and dwelling and, might put a song out every 4 years. And, but we don't really have those lifestyle bands, or even like hip hop at one point, with Eazy-E and NWA and Ice-T and Digital Underground. It was like a scene, you know what I mean? It was like a thing. And then we had our thing. And so the audience felt like they were part of that lifestyle.
Yeah.
And that is a really healthy music scene.
I'm going to ask you, though, if you could, like, go back in time and give the young Tracii Guns a word of advice, what would you give him? What would you say?
I just tell him to shut up. You know what I mean? Because I felt, I was always much younger than the guys in my band, and I always looked at it from, I want to do what my heart tells me. I want to do what my heart tells me. And it always ended up that way in the end anyway. So I would spend so much time, what's the word? Like trying to prove my point, to fall on deaf ears, kind of a thing. But in the end, every song, every recording, every album ended up the way I wanted it. But I wasted so much time verbalizing it with managers and bandmates and, seamstresses and business managers. And you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this. And it's like, people don't take advice. People will ask for advice when they're stuck, and then they'll try the advice. But if you're constantly throwing advice at people, they don't give a shit. Nobody does. Nobody takes advice. We all learn. We all learn on our own. But yeah, I wish that I had just kind of had enough confidence when I was younger to just know that things are going to go the way they're supposed to.
Absolutely.
That's because I drove myself nuts. I really did.
I read somewhere like you're a prolific songwriter. So have you got like the next LA Guns album already written?
Kind of. I have a direction, and I don't want to give the direction away this early before
No, I know.
This album even comes out. But I always like to finish a project, absorb it, or an album. I mean, absorb it and say, okay, what's next? So that gives me a lot of time to think about it, before I actually start writing or trying to come up with ideas. But I definitely have a direction, and I can just say we're gonna stick with the high energy. That's the thing.
You're going to be in your wheelchair playing still, aren't you, when you're in your 90s? You're going to still be on stage.
Yeah, because, those bills ain't going to pay themselves.
Okay. I already know. And I'm kicking myself because I can't think what the song is. I think it's number 6. I can't think which track it is. Number 6 on the album that I really like.
I can't even look. It's not out yet. I can't even look it up.
It's on my laptop here, but I can't.
Oh, wait a minute. I actually have an album right here because I'm in the band, so I get the first album.
Whoa, look at that. Look at the cover on that. That's amazing. I love it.
Okay, I'm Your Candyman would be number 6.
No.
My favorite song is The Grinder.
I think that was it.
It's
the one after I'm the Candyman.
Runaway Train. That's the acoustic blues.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool as well. I was thinking they haven't done a cover of Soul Asylum here, have they? Thankfully not.
No, what that song was, that TV show, The Reacher?
Oh yeah.
It's this guy. He's like a big cop kind of guy, vigilante, and he listens to blues. Like he's obsessed with old, the real blues, from the 20s, 30s, and 40s. And the main song that they play throughout the show is this Blind Blake song, this really innovative guitar player, from the 30s. And this one song has this really strange tuning. And it's not a typical open tuning like a lot of blues guys did. He would tune his guitar according to what he wanted to do. So I went and learned that tuning, and it took me a couple weeks to really get comfortable playing acoustic, first of all, and then to play with the tuning. And I came up with that little, like the kind of Viva Las Vegas kind of thing. And, quickly I threw an arrangement together. It was such a bitch to play, because I got the microphones all around me, and I'm struggling with the guitar because it's difficult. Yeah. And I had to play it all the way through because traditional blues guys like that, they didn't have editing software. No. You have to play all the way through. So I had to double all of it, and then I gave myself a track to play the acoustic solo. So somebody in the band last week when we were on the cruise says, "Hey, are we going to play Runaway Train live?" I'm like, "No, we're not going to play Runaway Train live." It would kill me for the rest of the set, like just to make it all the way through with all that stuff going on. But everybody does mention that song in my interviews, that it really comes kind of out of left field, and it's cool and it's kind of funny, and all that, all those things. And so that's success right there. Just like, oh, I did something different and people are noticing it.
Maybe that'll be next single then. Maybe that one. Yeah.
I think they were talking about that. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that we were set up to have Hit and Run come out next, which is a very different song in itself. It's the one that kind of has like Chris Isaac kind of guitar sound, kind of 50s kind of thing, Lords of the New Church, kind of more goth kind of feel. But then we were talking about Runaway Train coming out next instead. But I just got off the cruise and we haven't had that discussion yet.
I'm just looking. I've found it. Here it is. Look. What was that? That's the Masquerade. It's number 9.
Masquerade,
number 9. God, why did I think it was 6? I was still going about 666. Number 9, the Masquerade. Yeah,
that's an L.A. Guns murder ballad for sure.
I love that one. It was that one.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Hold on. Somebody has an opinion over here.
I've got my cat at the back there. She's marrying, trying to get in as well. My cat comes into the interviews. Let me just get her.
Come here. Come here, Winter. What's your favorite 3 albums, Cat? Look at that. He's going to get his kitty. Look at that. A friend. Friends.
This is Tabitha. She often makes an appearance.
Oh, what a pretty cat.
She's amazing.
Yeah, they're great.
Chain, though. Little bugger.
Oh, they're
beautiful. Just
mostly, mostly, what do they call that? Norwegian forest cat. But, I always get boy cats. They seem to be the most affectionate. I like
well, Tabitha's a girl, and she's a little terror, like your Tabs. I've got Dio, Tabby James Dio. He's the old cat. He's the old cat, but he doesn't come in. He's a bit shy. But Tabitha, she'll jump down on me and, little terror. You're a proper little black cat, aren't you? You coming up there? Oh, beautiful.
We love them. We love them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So so if I have to, when I do this, I kind of think of what would I need to have on an island, right? Like if I could only have 3 records, and the first one would be Physical Graffiti by Led Zeppelin. That one. And another reason for that, I say that, is after Eddie Van Halen had his hip surgery, he came up to me at Music Plus, which was an old record store here. And what are you doing here? And I go, oh, someone stole all my CDs off the bus. I got to restock, And he's like, well, what are you getting first? And I'm like, Van Halen 1. And he goes, fuck you, man. He goes, I know what you're getting. And I go, Physical Graffiti. And we said it at the same time, Physical Graffiti. Because that was one record that he and I had talked about a lot when we became friends. It's got the live feel. They were recording it on the road and all that kind of thing. It has that kind of magic. So that's one. The other one would be Ozzy Osbourne tribute album with Randy Rhoads.
Yeah.
And these are all going to be double albums.
Okay.
I'm cheating. So we're really going to have 6 albums.
Cool. That's cool.
And then, really the third one would have to be Van Halen 1. It's so essential.
Absolutely.
As a guitar player, to have Page, Randy and Eddie, for me, to stay inspired. And, those are the guys that light the fire under my ass when I'm getting lazy. I put something on they did, and I'm like, oh, God, I suck. Okay, I got it. And that's also the reason, is because those are the most inspirational albums and the vibiest albums, and they're all, those 3 albums are very different from one another, but they all have this kind of darkness to them that is really important for me to listen to and absorb, that kind of innocent, melancholy, guitar work.
Yeah.
Because when you're doing it, you're not melancholy. But the melancholy comes out there. And those would be the 3 albums.
So I'll answer this one already, but your favorite 3 guitarists?
Yeah, I think Jimmy Page always has to come first, because he inspired Eddie Van Halen, he inspired Randy Rhoads. But those 3 guys, but equally as important as Johnny Thunders from the New York Dolls, because he was kind of like Joe Perry and Keith Richards all wrapped in one. He had that cool hair, just a vibe, the snotty guitarist thing, and I'm equal parts that, Thunders, these guys that are virtuosos, And you can say Johnny was a virtuoso in his own way. He was certainly unique, so it would be those 4 guys. And then, then the list goes on, Dave Murray, Gary. Oh, man. Well, I mean, Europe, the Schengen area, let me put it that way. That includes all of Europe.
All right.
The Schengen area, the UK, Japan, Australia.
Yeah.
We kind of do it all normally, but right now, with the album release, so much is being focused on the United States, and so many dates are coming in, and we're going out again with Tom Kiefer in August for many months. Kind of got to take it one thing at a time as things, move forward. But I love everywhere, and I actually have a home in Denmark that I haven't been there in 2 years. I need to get back.
Yeah.
But I'm, work and play enables all these things to stay afloat. So if I'm not afloat, then those things all go away. So I have to take care of business.
Tom Kiefer, what a legend! That's amazing.
Oh, this will be the third major tour we've done with him in 4 years.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, so when you are going out on tour, which 3 essentials would you take with you? Which are like the most important things to take with you?
Well, I say that again because I catch.
Yeah. Hang on, we're running out of time as well. Which 3 essentials would you take with you on tour?
Toothbrush, hairbrush. No, I don't need the hairbrush.
You got hair. All you musicians, right? You make me sick, right? You're all older, a little bit older than me. You've all got your hair. Look, I'm going bald.
Yeah. When you play rock music, you lie to yourself a lot, and when you do that, you kind of tend to stay real young and vibrant until the day comes when you're not.
When you go.
Yeah, so yeah, I don't need a hairbrush. I need a teeth brush. I need, beside the obvious guitars and things like that, I don't know, some shorts. You never know when you're going to need some shorts, and an extra pair of boots. Got to have an extra pair. Yeah, I mean, that's legit.
Which musician, dead or alive, would you have with you in a car for a 24-hour road trip?
Wow. Let's see. Who talks a lot? Let me think about that. Rudy Sarzo is a great traveling companion.
Right.
I can listen to his stories all day long, from morning to night, which I did for 1 whole year already. But I would love to. I could handle that. Probably Woody Guthrie, if he was still around, because his point of views and his intelligence and education on all things worldly, I think would be really interesting to me personally, and I'd love to have that. And then I would have to say Glenn Johns, Andy Johns' older brother, the producer, because not only did he record so much music, but he was a bit of a big mouth back when he was young, working with everybody, the Beatles and the Stones and Zeppelin and Hendrix and all that, that I want to know everything he did, I would like for him to tell me, everything he did, warts and all. So yeah, Rudy Sarzo, Glenn Johns, and Woody Guthrie.
Amazing. So next one is a song about your personality, like a made-up song. What would it be called?
Say it, if there's a song that summed up my personality?
Yeah, like a made-up one, though.
Let's see. Ain't got no time for bullshit. Ain't got no time for bullshit. That would be my song.
Love it. All right. Okay. So, do you prefer vinyl or digital? It's an easy one.
Well, okay. So there's a little bit of science behind that. The remastered vinyl that we get today is printed from digital masters, so it doesn't give you the full analog experience of recording things through machines, onto other machines, through machines, and then cutting the wax from the analog tape through what's called a summing mixer, which gives you this really wide stereo sound, harmonic distortion, dynamics, all these things. Yes, I prefer my old records.
Old vinyl, proper vinyl.
To anything digital because it's bigger, it's warmer, it feels more like, for example, Eagles' Greatest Hits Volume 1. When I put that on my turntable, it feels like I can walk in between the keyboards and the guitar and the bass and the drums, and I can place where all the singers are in the mix and just kind of like walk right up to the speakers and be in. Van Halen 1's a lot like that too. So yeah, I prefer old vinyl, or if we do vinyl, but it's off digital masters like everybody else. But I would love to be able to, I have the technology here to do it properly, but nobody's going to pay for that.
Fair enough. Well, vinyl's quite expensive now as it is, isn't it? And yeah, it's not the same as back in the day. Yeah, totally. All right.
But I'd still rather have this record than
absolutely. 110%. Yeah, totally, man. Yeah. It's in your hands. It's the whole package, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the thing, is it's like I bought this, you know what I mean? Like it's tangible. I own it.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody could steal this from me. Nobody could steal your digital files because you just get them back. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Okay. Is there a particular song from the 80s scene that you wish you had written?
That I wish that I had written?
Yeah.
That's a really good question. Trying to think. There's so much great stuff then.
I know.
What is? Oh, you know, I think this is 90s, but it's still. I love that song "You" by what are they called? I think they're a Seattle band. They're San Diego band. What were they called? I cry for you, I die for you.
Oh,
Candlebox.
Yes,
I love that song.
Yes,
I love that goddamn song.
I haven't heard of them for ages. God.
Yeah, I know, but that song, man, I wish I wrote that song. That's a great song.
Brilliant. All right. So, when you're out on the road, do you prefer McDonald's or pizza?
Oof. I think pizza, you know, you have more variety and different things. But I ashamedly, I love McDonald's. You know, when I was married to my
mate. Oh, really?
when I was married to my Danish wife, moved to Denmark, and you know, when we were living here, I took her to Jack in the Box because they have these mystery tacos.
Right.
You know, I go, you can't say you live in L.A. if you don't have these tacos. And so she goes, okay, I'll eat the tacos. So we went over, got them. She took one bite and she's like, what is this? Nobody should be eating this. And I go, give me those. And I ate them, right? So we got over to Denmark and there's a McDonald's about a mile from my place.
Yeah.
And I would sneak out. I would like sneak out. And the thing about it is that McDonald's over there, they have tons of regulations. You can't use weird meat. You can't, you know what I mean? So it's really good. It's really, really good. And I would eat it. And if I'd be home like 20 minutes late, she always knew. You went to McDonald's. You went there, didn't you? Yeah. I did. She would just look at me like I was the devil. And be like, sorry. Hey, this is Tracii Guns from L.A. Guns. Watch Seb 666 and it will rock your world.
Right, any final words for your fans, our viewers and listeners?
Rock and roll.